That's good. Okay. All right. Well, then I am going to get started, and I'm super excited about tonight's call, and I hope you are too. Tonight I get to introduce my friend JJ Birden. And earlier in the week we were talking about tonight, and I said, okay, how JJ, is there a way that people usually introduce you or whatever? And he said, nah, just go ahead and say whatever. So I'm like, okay, that's perfect. So I wanted to say that JJ is a husband and a father of 8. And he is a retired NFL wide receiver. And I absolutely love to listen to JJ when he is talking about how he got to the NFL, how he stayed 9 seasons. It's so fun to listen to. And then the other thing is, when you watch JJ's Instagram story, when you listen to him live, when you're just around him, you will feel this energy of like generosity, authenticity, inspiration, just energy that's just so positive, and it just gets you so fired up and you are just ready to go. And so that is just something that I just love about listening to JJ. And I hope that all of you have that when you leave this call tonight. I hope you sense everything about that. So there you go, JJ. That's my introduction.
Awesome. I like it. Thank you, Missy. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And thank you too for inviting me. Thank you for the invitation. It's always nice when you get an opportunity to kind of share your story a little bit. And thank you to everyone else that's here, that's taken the time to just be here. Obviously, it's Monday night. You could be doing something else. So we don't take that for granted. And I appreciate those who will watch the recording as well. And so what I'm really going to do tonight is kind of take you through a process of the number one question I'm asked about being involved with Isagenix is, how did you go from the NFL to becoming an Isagenix associate? How did that happen? So I'm going to take you through that process and share some things along the way. And if you are already in Isagenix, maybe I share something that inspires you to go even harder to achieve your goals. But if you're someone who's here taking a look, that's really kind of what we want you to do. Want you to look and listen and see if it makes sense to have Isagenix a part of your life. And so, all right, so I'm going to start first with my career, because I know maybe some of you joined because you heard some football players going to be talking or whatever, but I'll tell you a little bit about my career and how that all happened. So I'm a former 2-sport athlete at University of Oregon. So I went to the University of Oregon. I'm a Duck. I don't know if there's any Ducks out there, but I went to Oregon on a track scholarship. I was not there to play football. Everyone said I was too small in high school, 5'9", 133 pounds. So I had no Division I schools who offered me in football. So when I got a track scholarship to Oregon, my second year, I begged the head football coach to just give me a shot, let me walk on. And if those who don't know what walk on mean, that means you're basically getting a tryout and there's no guarantees. But I just saw an opportunity to prove everybody wrong, and that's what I did. And I ended up doing both sports for the rest of my career at Oregon. Now, my senior year, though, my focus was really about the Olympics. I was a world-class long jumper. I qualified for the 1988 Olympic trials, and so that was really the dream. I never wanted to play in the NFL. I wasn't that kid who grew up thinking like, I want to be in the NFL. That was the furthest thing from my mind, but it was just a couple of circumstances that happened that kind of led me down this road, and it started with the NFL draft. So some of you may know the NFL draft is in a couple of weeks, and I unexpectedly was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in 1988. I was the 216th pick in the 8th round. Now, they don't even have 8 rounds anymore. So I was definitely considered a long shot. But out of curiosity, I went to the Cleveland Browns rookie camp just to see what it was like. I didn't want to just go through life and wonder, hey, what if I went to that rookie camp? I want to at least say I went. So I went the following week. And unfortunately, the third practice, I tore up my ACL ligament. And when that happened, that's when the shift took place. And I started, okay, let's focus on the NFL. And after recovering from that knee injury, I ended up playing 9 years in the NFL. And as I get older, I realize how special that accomplishment was when you look at the odds of making it to the NFL. But probably the highlight of my career, because I never made it to a Super Bowl, was playing with that guy there, number 19, Joe Montana. Does everybody know who Joe Montana is? I know we probably got some millennials on here. You know, Tom Brady. Well, before Tom Brady, it was Joe Montana. And getting to play with Joe was a thrill. He had already won 4 Super Bowls when he joined the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was kind of weird at first. It was kind of freaky because I remember the first time I was in the huddle with Joe and I'm sitting there looking at like this and I'm like, that's Joe Montana. You know, I couldn't get over that because I was in the 8th grade watching him on TV and now he's throwing passes to me. But anyway, what was cool about Joe was, here's one of the greatest athletes to ever play. And that saying about success leaves clues is true, because I'm thinking like, what's Joe going to be like when he joins our team? He's already won all these Super Bowls, but Joe came in, you know, and he studied like a rookie. He prepared like a veteran and he led like a pro. He was a consummate professional in leadership. And I learned so much from him within those 2 things things I utilize today and things that I often teach as well. But anyway, so with the NFL, and I don't know if you know this, the NFL is about 100 years old. And during that time, 20,000 men have played the game. And the average NFL career is less than 2 years, while the average size NFL player is 6'2", 245 pounds. So to say I played 9 years at 5'10", 157 pounds, that's something very unique. I mean, I'm not a Hall of Famer. I've never made the Pro Bowl, and I don't consider myself to be a famous former NFL player. But what I can tell you is this: in the last 32 plus years, there's not been an NFL player who played longer than me that weighed under 160 pounds. So I share that with you because I know what it's like to have your back against the wall. I know what it's like to deal with the odds, to deal with uncertainty, to make choices where people don't believe in you. And you might have dream stealers, you know, but also know what it's like to be the underdog and ultimately prove everyone wrong. And one of the biggest misconceptions in being a professional athlete, especially in the NFL, is that everyone just assumes that every NFL player is financially set when their career is over. That they just make all this money, they got this financial legacy, and they ride off into the sunset. Well, there is a small number of athletes that would fit in that category. And remember too, I played in the 80s and 90s, so we didn't make the kind of money they make today. But most NFL players have to have some kind of transition, a plan B when the game is over, because I love the game. I had a great time playing, but at some point you're a burned out, pushed out professional athlete needing to make a drastic career change. And when I was thinking about life after the game, I wanted to be in something where I could really help other people, help others achieve their goal. And I knew that I had to be an entrepreneur to be able to do that. So when my career first ended, I had networked with a lot of doctors and I really developed all these relationships. And I became owner of 2 different medical companies, Summit Medical and Summit Rehab, which is based in Lee Summit, Missouri. We work with pulmonologists who provide respiratory services to their patients. My company provided the oxygen tanks, the sleep app machines. And then I had a buddy who invented a home gym that was really unique called ProSpot Fitness. And I was minority owner, but I was also the West Coast sales manager. So I worked with 150 stores. And so this is what I did when my career was over. And I did this for about 10, 11, 12 years. And I love working with people, but I didn't like the challenges that came with running those businesses. I mean, I was overworked, underpaid, stressed out, traveling a lot. And I didn't really have the time and freedom from a financial standpoint too, that I thought I was going to get. I thought you become a business, you build these things and you just, you create this financial wealth, but it did not happen. And at the same time, I was kind of going through that, something else happened from a family standpoint. So I've been married to my college sweetheart, Raina, about almost 32 years in June. And when we got married, we had a simple goal when it came to children. We wanted 3. And so we have Dante, Camille, and LeJordan. And then in 2007, right when I was kind of figuring out this career shift, I got a call from my nephews and nieces in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they reached out to us and said, "Hey, uncle, there's just some craziness going on out here. You need to come check on us." So 24 hours later, I'm on a plane flying out to Tulsa to check on my 5 nieces and nephews. And then 24 hours later after that, I'm in a courthouse standing before a judge, and the judge is like, "Hey, Mr. Birden, we're going to take your 5 nieces and nephews and place them in 5 separate foster homes. You're the next of kin, so what would you like to do?" So imagine being in that situation where you've got to make a split-second decision that's going to drastically change or impact so many different lives, you know? So I did what any smart husband would do. I was like, "Judge, let me call my wife first." So after a 5-minute conversation with my wife, we took all 5 of the children and we immediately merged them into our family. And what was interesting was when we made that decision, a lot of people questioned us. Why would you do that? Why would you add 5 more mouths to feed? Why would you take your family and expand it like that? But Rain and I, we saw it as an opportunity to impact 5 more lives. And I believe we did that. And I believe they did that to us as well. But what was interesting about that was that my why, what was driving me to be successful, totally changed overnight. It was about taking care of a family of actually 11, because my mom was with us too. And that's real important because the why is what drives us in anything we do, right? It's that seed of motivation. So for me, I had this urge to figure out from a career-wise, I got to find something that's more stable, that's more consistent, and something that can really create the income where I can take care of this large family. Well, interesting enough, during that time, I had had many people introduce me to network marketing or direct sales. I don't know how many people told me to look at it and wanted me to get involved. And I looked at it and I understood the business model. But what I really liked was that residual or that ongoing income, you know, income that continues to come in as you do something over a period of time, because I had already been exposed to that, even when I was in the NFL. Here's an example. So when you get to the NFL, you're so focused on just trying to make the team. I never thought one day I would be on football cards and video games, and which was kind of cool. But the one thing I did not know was that every spring, the NFL would send me a check for $10,000 every spring because they use our likeness to be able to produce these games. And so every spring, that check would come in. Even 3 years after I retired, that check would still come in. And then I think it was 2000, the check stopped because I was no longer on any of the new games. But the point was, I was introduced to that income, that ongoing income, that residual income that continues to come in, which I prefer rather than linear income, where you got to go in, you punch the clock, that's when you get paid. And so again, the concept was there, I got it. But to be honest, I didn't really know much about network marketing or direct sales. I heard so much about it, and I always heard these crazy things about it, but I thought, you know what? I'm not going to take someone else's opinion. Why don't I just go do my own due diligence? Why don't I just go research the industry and see how I feel about it? Because yes, it was important to, protect my name, my reputation. And if I'm going to go in a profession, I better feel solid about it. And so I spent some time researching the industry. I remember going to the FTC website, and reading information, and going to Better Business Bureau and various other websites to really learn more about the profession. But after doing my research, I was really impressed with what I found. There were thousands of companies out there that were doing some pretty amazing things, producing some pretty amazing products. And I could see that the industry was doing like anywhere from 160 to 180 billion in annual sales. Think about that number. The NFL is the #1 grossing sport in the world. It does 16 to 17 billion in annual sales. And network marketing was doing 180. And I thought, man, there's got to be something to this. And it just seems that it became a more of an acceptable way to build a business and also to take products as well. So after I did all that research, a friend of mine introduced me to a company, and I decided to get involved. And this was kind of like my getting my feet wet. This is my first experience. I worked with this guy, and I was in the company for about 6 years. Now I went through the normal learning curve. I didn't know what I was doing at first. I was struggling, but I wasn't real coachable at first. And then I became more coachable and started listening to the ones who were successful. And so it was a good experience because I learned a lot during those 6 years. I learned that I love the profession. I love that it's all about helping other people achieve their goals. I mean, I could get around a business philosophy like that. But I also learned that I wasn't with the right company. I just kind of followed my friend and I thought, I want to be with a company that resonates with me. I want a health and wellness company because I'm all about working out. My weight was starting to go up. So I needed something that really fit my personality and my style and my messaging. And so I spent 2 weeks researching 50 different network marketing companies because I wasn't just going to do this just to be doing it. I wanted to find the right company for me. And of course, the right company I felt comfortable sharing with others. So this is the original criteria I used 8 years ago to research all these companies because I knew exactly what I wanted. Like company, I wanted a company that was 10, 15 years old because those are considered legacy companies. Legacy companies have already gone through that growth curve, that learning curve at the beginning where you kind of go through the ups and downs where a lot of these companies fell. But if a company gets through those years, they have the ability to be a legacy company that could be going on and on and on. I wanted good owners who've been in the industry, they had the right reputation, products, and all these other things too. So think about this. I compared all these companies to these points, and there was only one company that met the criteria of every single one, and that was Isagenix. And I couldn't believe it, especially when I found out that it was here in Arizona where I live, and I had no idea whatsoever. So I decided to give it a try. But for me first, I wanted to see if the products really work because I'm a product guy. I'm into health and wellness. I want to be ambassador of the healthy lifestyle. But my weight was changing and I needed to supplement. And I was looking for products that I could really incorporate in my lifestyle. And here's the 3 things to me that really resonate with me in terms of why I wanted to get on these products. One is I was impressed with the research they do on their products. Isagenix is known for the research and the clinical studies they do on their products and systems. Not a lot of companies are willing to do such testing, but Isagenix does that, even from testing the ingredients and making sure they're clean and natural and no stimulants, no artificial ingredients, and they're gluten-free. That was a big one for me because I'm allergic to wheat. If I consume wheat, I go into anaphylactic shock. And it's happened a couple times years ago. So I have to be gluten-free. So if anybody out there wondering whether or not it's really gluten-free, it's gluten-free because I've never had a problem with it. The second thing was learning that their performance products are Informed Sport certified. So for those who don't know what that is, so there's an organization called WADA. WADA monitors supplements out there to make sure there's no banned ingredients in the supplements. Because if there's banned ingredients, that means if an athlete takes these products, they're considered a sports enhancing product, and that's illegal. So as a pro athlete, when I was in the NFL, every time we took a product, we had to look at the label. It didn't matter who gave it to me. My grandmother could give me some protein. If I looked on the label and it didn't say certified, I would not take the product. So to find out that Isagenix their performance products were Informed Sports certified, that was big for me because that means if a pro athlete, Olympic athlete, and a college athlete can take these products and they're tested all the time, they're definitely going to be right for me. And then the last one was, I love the fact that their products were all part of a system, because when you got a system, it's so easy to follow it because systems produce predictable results. And for me, where I was struggling was I was traveling a lot. I was just kind of grabbing whatever. And I noticed that when you have a system, it eliminates decision fatigue. You know what I mean? Think about how many times when someone walks into the kitchen and they're hungry and they open up the fridge and they just stare there, not sure what to eat, or they go to the cabinet, they easily grab something that's unhealthy. But if you have a system of healthy products, it eliminates the decision fatigue because you can just grab and go and you're getting great products. So those 3 points really stood out to me to the point where okay, let's get on these products and let's see if they really work. So I got on our 30-day weight loss system because my weight had got up to about 178, 79. And, that's a little high for me. I was like, I need to be a little lower. but I thought I would do the system, follow it, and see if it works. And let me just tell you, I got on that system 30 days. I didn't cheat, I follow it. And I was so amazed with my results. Now, these are my results. So here's a disclaimer. This is not everybody's results. These are the results that I had by sticking to the system. And after 30 days, I had gone from 178 to 159. As you look at the picture with the blue shirt, the top one, I'm 178, the bottom one, I'm 159. And I was like, okay, this stuff works. And then my wife was like, you're too skinny. You need to put some weight on. So then I got on the muscle building products, and then I started building the muscle and got to 171. And as the performance products were released, I just tightened up things. And that's what the 172 is. But no doubt, I became a believer of the products. That picture on the left, that's about 6 years ago. And I'm 56 and I weigh 173. I stay between 171 and 173. So can you maintain the results? You better believe it. But from there, I was sold on that one aspect that was important to me was the products. And that's really when I got more involved in the business and decided I want to be part of this business because I know the potential in it. I know what it takes, but I know how more attractive it is if you're with the right company. I certainly felt I was a part of that. And so I've now been, working the business consistently during that time, the last 8 years. I'm full-time, and the beauty of what I like about this business is that, you work with other people, as you see in the pictures. And I've always been on teams, and I love the fact that you're part of a team and you're coached and you're trained and you learn how to do the work or certain activities that produces the results that you want, because there's like a system you're following. Just on the weight loss system, there's also a system that you follow when you're building the business. And yes, the income potential really is there. But remember, it's called network marketing. You got to be willing to do the work. Just like any goal you set in life, you can't just set the goal and think it happens automatically. No, you got to be willing to do the work. And it's the same thing with this business model. But what I love about it is this, because even as a business owner, even let's say when I was with the Kansas City Chiefs, Lamar Hunt was the owner. Carl Peterson was the president. I could never get to the level of Lamar Hunt. I could never become owner of the Chiefs. I could never earn that kind of income. But what I love about the network marketing business model is it's kind of like you're on a ladder, you're climbing up a ladder and you're a rung above someone and you look down and people are below you and you reach down and you pull them up to your level, or you let them pass you, because it's a win-win situation where everybody's working together and helping to produce wins. And it's like when you win, everyone else wins. And I think that's a fair business model for those who are willing to do what it takes. And so over the years, has it helped? You better believe it. It's allowed me to be able to take care of a very large family. Now all the children are out of the house. So now the why is shifted more towards my wife and I, but again, it's really all about the consistency of doing the steps that are necessary to ultimately be successful with this business model. So let me just kind of end with these 5 points. I want to just share, again, from my perspective of if you're someone who's new, who's kind of checking this out and you're wondering if this is something that you should be a part of, let me just end with these points of why Isagenix and why now. And I'm kind of a research guy, and I'm giving you my perspective based on what I've learned, what I've experienced. And one thing I would say is the fact that right now the company is 20 years old. Last week, they celebrated their 20th anniversary. So when you talk about a true legacy company with long-term vision and long-term growth, this is the kind of company you want to be a part of. I'm impressed with the owners. Kathy and Jim Coover, who are training their son, Eric, to eventually take over. So it's really, they're positioning themselves from an ownership standpoint to make sure they continue to be around and continue to do the things that have made them one of the best. They are considered one of the darlings of the industry and have a reputation that you truly would want to partner with. But from a business standpoint, I love the fact that they don't fall into this trap of complacency. A lot of times in business, when a business has success, they kind of ride that success as long as they can. And and just, instead of growing and improving, they don't do that. Well, see, Isagenix hasn't done that. They are not resting on their laurels because they continue to get better. They continue to improve and innovate and evolve. And as they're like doing some things like changing their messaging, their branding, and introducing more solutions, and making sure that the technology is up to speed. These things are important because it tells you that, again, this company is going to continue to grow. The products, we talked about the products earlier, but where's the products heading to the future? So many new products have been introduced over the last year. New products that are attracting more and more new customers, and more new products are going to continue to be released over the years. And I think that's important because whether you're a customer or a business builder, you want to make sure you have the right options and targeted solutions. And Isagenix definitely has that, as they've updated their solutions such as weight management, natural beauty, daily nutrition, targeted health and fitness. And once again, there's something here for everyone. And also from a business standpoint, it's nice when you have products that are consumable, visible, and emotional products, because you can't deny when you see such physical benefits as ones are taking these products. Real products producing real results. The third one is the compensation plan, because for someone who's thinking about maybe sharing it, maybe creating another income stream, it's important to feel good about how you're going to be compensated. Well, in our industry, there's some people that have a habit of saying, oh, we have the best compensation in the world. I don't know why people say that, because nobody really knows who has the best compensation in the world. But what we do know is this is a really good compensation. And one of the ways you know is how many times has a company changed the base of their compensation plan? Well, Isagenix has never changed the base of their compensation plan. When companies change the base, that's usually because either they're not making enough money or the field's getting too much money. And when they make those changes, it hurts the associates and those that are sharing the products. So to know that Isagenix got it right 20 years ago, that brings comfort to your mind. But what's cool is they continue to add bonuses and pools and other different ways that we're ultimately getting paid for sharing something we love. And then the community, we talked a little bit about that, but think about the times we live in right now. How many people want to be part of a community, especially coming out of COVID-19? How many people want to be around other people who are positive or energized, who are going to lift you up and encourage you? Well, that's what you get when you're part of the Isagenix community. You got people that believe in you and that are going to run with you, but they're also going to train you and coach you and make sure you have what you need. And then lastly, I would say is timing. And I think obviously timing is important in any company that you're a part of. And I say timing because Isagenix has really positioned themselves to eventually hit that $1 billion mark. But the other thing I like is they're doing things or position themselves to eventually hit 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 billion and on. And when you're looking at a business from an entrepreneur standpoint, you want to be with a company where it's going to grow to those numbers, where you have the potential to grow right along with them. Plus, you want to be with a company that's, I don't want to say that's, that can withstand some of the unpredictable things that can happen in the world. Let me give you an example. So for those who don't know, I'm also a professional speaker. I've been a speaker for years, but I became a paid speaker about 6 years ago. I do corporate speaking, and I usually speak anywhere from 20 to 30 times a year. I don't like to speak more than that because Isagenix is what I do full time. But when COVID-19 hit, I had 24 speaking engagements scheduled, and they all were canceled just like that. That was income I was expecting. I was counting on to take care of my family. And maybe some of you, or maybe you know someone that might be able to relate to a story like that in some way or another. What happened to my Isagenix business during that time? It continued to grow. It continued to put us in a position to change lives as well as support my family too. And that's really important because the way the world is now with social media and online and people want to shop and do all these things, it fits right in that niche as an option to be able to do that. So I think as you're looking at that, you want to keep that in mind because whether we like it or not, a lot of things are being done online as well. So those I would say is from my perspective of why, if you're new or you're considering this, why you should take a serious look to be a part of Isagenix. And what I would say is this, Get back to the person that invited you to be on this call. I'm not sharing it anymore. You get back to whoever invited you to be on this. Get your questions answered. If you got any questions, get the questions answered. They can show you the different options to get started on our incredible products. And, take it from there. They'll guide you, they'll teach you and all that. But I would just say this, the 8 years of being a part of this company has definitely been one of the best business decisions I've made. And it's really cool to see so many people that are excited of being part of a company where there's a movement. We're really working on setting people free to live extraordinarily healthy lives, or whether it's wealth goals, but ultimately helping them achieve the goals that are important to them. So anyway, that's all I want to share tonight. Missy, I'm going to turn it back to you. And thanks everybody for listening.
I'm muted. Sorry. Yes. Oh my goodness. Wasn't that awesome? That's what I was saying about JJ. Like, he gets you fired up, like ready to go. And every time I'm like, yes, I'm going to go do some more. Gus is going to start a business here. We're ready to go. Right. And so anyway, JJ, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I saw in the chat, people said, oh, I didn't know that. I love so many things that you touched on, and just even like talking about the company and 20 years and the foundation and just where you've been and what you've done. And so I thank you so much for sharing your whole story with us. So anyway.
Thanks, Missy. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.